Welcome back, everybody. Here with us now from Capitol Hill, Republican Senator John Thune from South Dakota. Sir, it's great to have you with us this morning, and we want to start off just getting you on the record. We have these reports that are coming out of Ukraine about the 2 down military planes assumed to be shot down by the pro-Russian separatists. Your reaction to that?
It demonstrates, I think, that some of the capabilities that the separatists have and how important it is that we get the arms flow stopped that's coming from Russia into Ukraine. But more evidence, again, that these folks have bad designs and capability to carry out these types of attacks.
Well, it demonstrates their capabilities for sure, but also just either utter chaos or an intensified plan on the part of Vladimir Putin to keep going and to get that part of eastern Ukraine that he wants.
Well, it does, Mika. I think, again, that's all these things, all signs point back to Putin. And obviously, I think that we've got to make the case, the argument publicly with the Europeans that assigns responsibility for the shooting down of the commercial airliner as well. But it's very clear the pattern here. I think the narrative continues to build, and it should intensify, I hope, the pressure on the Europeans to join the United States and others to try and put more pressure on the Russians. This has got to stop. And obviously, there's a lot of harm that's already been done and more that can be done if we don't get it under control.
The president has gone as far to say that the Russians are responsible and came out with a pretty strong statement the day before yesterday. But is there pressure that can be put on Europe as well for more unity?
Sure there is, and I think the president needs to continue to build a unified front with the Europeans. But sometimes I think, Mika, that it's not just it's substance, but it's also form. And I think the Europeans are looking to us to see what the United States is willing to do. And I think there is a lot more that can be done in terms of sectoral sanctions, some of the things that have been discussed earlier on the show this morning. But it is going to require American leadership, and hopefully the Europeans will come with us. But obviously at this point we're having a difficult time making that argument. I think one of the things that Tim Kaine mentioned just before me is the economic dependence that Europe has on the Russians, particularly with regard to energy. And that's, again, makes the argument for why it's so important that we open up to LNG exports, the European market, and that the United States become more engaged in trying to provide some of the energy needs for Europe. I think that will take some of the economic dependence away and hopefully free them up to be able to put more pressure on the Russians.
So, Senator, if the Europeans don't go along with us and don't accede to our requests for increased sanctions, what are our options? What do we do?
Well, I mean, it's really hard, Mike. You've all talked about that this morning. Europe has so much more at stake here, the volume of trade, the economic relationship that they have with the Russians, a historic relationship. But I do think there are things that we can be doing. I mentioned LNG exports. I think sectoral sanctions, the United States leading the way, some things that we haven't done yet that we could do. I think providing small arms support to the Ukrainians. There are a number of steps I think that we could be taking, that we should be taking, and help lead the way. I mean, I don't think the Europeans are just going to come there automatically. I think we have to make the argument, we have to make the case, starting with the information that we have that demonstrates that Russia was in fact responsible for the downing of the commercial airliner. And I think it starts there. The president's got to be more engaged, frankly. I mean, I appreciate everything that his people are doing, but the bottom line is, you know, he's busy. He's traveling the country right now. We all expect him to campaign. It's an election year. We expect him to raise money for Democrats. But he's got to demonstrate, I think, a level of engagement on this issue and leadership that we aren't seeing today.
All right, Senator John Thune, thank you very much. Good to see you always.
Thanks, Mika. You bet.